Hello and welcome to Mabinda TV. This is home of compassionate conservatism, where we advocate for a fine balance and sweet spot between individual creative genius excellence as afforded by capitalism and society excellence as afforded by equality of opportunity. So in essence, you are calling for capitalism with a human face, that is capitalism with a human face. So now this is a 4-part series. So of course there is Making America, of course, and then Africa perspectives, ideas, and then finally heart and soul, finally Bible study. So finally it's a Bible study. So in the making America, I'm asking, how do the other Republican candidates campaign against Donald Trump? That is, how do the other Republican candidates campaign against Donald Trump? Because it's very hard to campaign against Donald Trump. For one, Donald Trump is the incumbent. He has been to the White House and he has a cult-like following among his supporters. So how do you campaign against Donald Trump so that you can bring him down, but then of course you take his supporters? I think Donald Trump supporters don't take it down when someone attacks Donald Trump. And I think this is the dilemma that you have the other candidates, basically Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, and of course Chris Christie. So Chris Christie, the former New Jersey governor, has decided to go hard against Donald Trump. He says the country does not need Donald Trump. So that's the line that has been adopted by Chris Christie. He says America does not need Donald Trump, that basically Donald Trump had his chance and screwed it, and I think of course, this is very combative, and I don't think it is working. So he still remains a very outlier figure within, as the polls show. So how do you campaign against Donald Trump? So that, because it's a very difficult thing to do, Donald Trump has a cult-like following. He has experience in the White House. And basically, he does not even need to campaign. Look at Donald Trump. He has not turned up for the debates. He has not turned up for the Republican debates, but he still leads the field by about, I think, 50 percentage points. And I think even against Joe Biden, Donald Trump is leading the field. And so it makes one wonder, why run against Donald Trump in the first place? So you have someone like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He cringes every time he is told, I think in a Fox News debate with California Governor Gavin Newsom. You had Florida Governor Ron DeSantis saying, basically, you had Gavin Newsom saying that at least both of us will not be the presidential nominees for the party. So that was a low jibe on Ron DeSantis, and of course you saw Ron DeSantis taking it personal. So I think right now that's the dilemma that the other Republican candidates are facing. But I think you need to highlight the failings of Donald Trump in a polite and easy way, so that you don't look as if you are attacking Donald Trump. You have this person who has mastered this, I think, is Nikki Haley, the former South Carolina governor. She basically throws a jab at Donald Trump, but you have the supporters doing a job at you have Nikki Haley throwing a job at Donald Trump, and it doesn't hurt. It's not like maybe the other candidates such as it's not like the other candidates maybe who are going full throttle. So you have Nikki Haley saying, yes, Donald Trump leads Joe Biden by about 4 or 5 percentage points, but I do it even better. I lead Donald Trump by about 9-10 percentage points. So that's the message that has been adopted by Nikki Haley. Of course, some people are not so convinced that Nikki Haley will be a formidable candidate. Remember, she has been endorsed by the billionaire industrial family, that is the Koch brothers. And of course, for some they say this is a proof that she is an establishment kind of Republican, the so-called rhinos Republicans in name only. So she has got the endorsement of the Koch brothers, and of course for Donald Trump, he says this is the old Republican Party. This is the Republican Party that has destroyed America. So this works against Nikki Haley. But of course for others, they say this is proof enough that she is a peacemaker. She can reach across the aisle, so she will be getting access access to the networks of the Koch brothers, the grassroots networks. They will be going and knocking door to door in order to campaign for Nikki Haley, and of course she will be getting millions of dollars in terms of donations. Of course, for the Koch brothers, it's they campaigned against Donald Trump in 2016. In 2020, remember in 2016, Donald Trump was an outlier. He was basically unwanted in the party, and he had to sign a pledge by the Republican establishment that he will stick to the Republican values. So very much the Republican Party, Donald Trump says the Republican Party is no longer the party of the Bushes, is no longer the party of the Reagan. So basically you have Donald Trump saying this is the new Republican Party, and of course the establishment figures within the Republican Party will not forgive Donald Trump for turning it into turning the Republican Party into a personality cult. So they say Donald Trump came along, then turned our party into a personality cult, and I think you have some mainstream Republicans breaking ranks with the party, or some just being disillusioned altogether. Although others say this is the person we wanted to re-energize this party. Remember, it is said that a democracy very much needs a revolution every 25 or so years. So they say ever since Reagan came along, Reagan shaped up the Republican Party, of course, with its deregulation, and of course, someone said that Reagan is the one who led to this profiteering, the rise of the Wall Street class over the American way of life. So basically, Reagan used to say the government is the problem, let it get out of the way. But of course, some say this is where the corporation, where America became a corporation under Ronald Reagan, where now America is a corporation. Some are saying this is what the Republican Party is, and they're saying maybe Donald Trump should fight the corporations that Ronald Reagan did a mistake to allow them off the range. The banks, you heard Obama saying, criticizing the banks, basically criticizing the Wall Street banks during the day, and then siding with Main Street, the common person on the street during the day, and then of course at night writing them an email. That is Obama writing them an email that he was not joking, he was not serious at all. So the hand of Wall Street is very much on the American presidency, and so who will take it on for Donald Trump? He is a billionaire in his own right. He has often said that his wealth is undervalued, but he says he basically Donald Trump says basically he was a person who was creating jobs, and even in the civil lawsuit that Attorney General Letitia James has brought against Donald Trump used to say he has created jobs in New York, but now he is being chased out. So I think for America to become a corporatocracy, a corporation, America became a corporation, I think, under Ronald Reagan, but of course some would say it was about individual dynamism. And what is the essence of individual dynamism? Bringing everyone to the same starting lineup, and I think that is the essence of the American dream, a meritocracy, that everyone is brought to the same starting lineup, and then the differences can be explained by rare talent, rare skills, rare gifts, and that's how you bring everyone to the same starting lineup. So I think for now the other Republican candidates are having a hard time campaigning against Donald Trump. I think it will be a hard time, but they need to show they still love Donald Trump, even if they don't agree with his policies. Just show that you don't agree with his policies. Otherwise, the cut, like following of Donald Trump, will be hard on you, as Chris Christie is founding. You can see the conferences that Donald Trump has attended so far, the CPAC conference, the Family Leaders Conference. You have them saying, clapping wherever Donald Trump took to the stage. They gave Donald Trump a rock star kind of welcome, and of course then Donald Trump, then that shows you Donald Trump is still the person to beat within the Republican Party. He has shaped the Republican Party in many ways, and I think that just shows you how the Republican Party has come under Donald Trump. So that's it for, I think, then so the person who is suffering the most in this is Ron DeSantis, because remember, it is Donald Trump who helped endorse him for the Florida governor. I think he came from Congress to run for the Florida governor in 2016, in 2018. So, but then, of course, in the election in 2022, he won by double digits. Of course, Donald Trump used to like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, but now they are running against each other, and of course, you can't expect him. He has some nicknames against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He calls him Ron DeSanctimonious. Of course, you can't expect Donald Trump likes to have nicknames for all these candidates. So I think he has traveled through all 99 counties of Iowa. That is Governor Ron DeSantis. He has traveled through all the 99 counties of Iowa, and of course, and that shows you how much he sees that basically he has a chance against Trump. But I think maybe he should adopt maybe a structure like Tim Scott. Tim Scott thought that basically the voters wanted him, but not this time. Maybe that's the message they're also sending to Ron DeSantis, that the voters want you, but not this time. So Donald Trump, I think, will handily win that ticket, the Republican nomination ticket, but we'll wait to see. Maybe there should be upsets, but I don't think there will be upsets. I just think this will be Trump's for the taking. So that's it in the Making America. Well, I have looked at how do the other Republican candidates campaign against Donald Trump. Then I will move over now to Africa perspective. So how can Africa unity be enhanced? That is, how can African unity be enhanced? So you have this Africa as an entity is very disjointed. You have these countries, I think they are very small countries, but I think they are very disjointed. So how do they speak with one voice? Everyone outside of Africa knows Africa is one. Some even believe Africa is a country. They don't know Africa consists of about 54 countries. So you had the person who wanted Africa to be united. I would say the father of modern Pan-Africanism was Kwame Nkrumah, but of course then was Kwame Nkrumah, but of course he did not live to see his dream come to fruition. Of course, he wanted to delay the independence of Ghana until the whole of Africa could get independence, so that they could be united. But that did not happen. I think he had very little leeway. I think these African presidents consider their countries as their personal fiefdoms. So they consider their countries as their personal fiefdoms. So they want to rule over their countries. I don't think they want to be subjugated to be mere governors in an African supranational government. So of course you have the likes of Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, Paul Biya of Cameroon, Isaiah Afwerki of Eritrea. Do you think these dictators, these handymen, do you think they will accept to be second fiddle to an African supranational government? Hardly. I think they will. I don't think they will want to be second fiddle. I think they enjoy ruling over their countries without any question. These dictators, I don't think they will. The likes of maybe Paul Kagame, I don't think they will accept to play second fiddle in an African supranational. But I think African countries need to be united. Look at the way an African has so many problems traveling across Africa. It's so hard to travel from one African country to another. I think when you are going to West Africa, you have to go to France first. A traveler from Kenya, for instance, going to Ivory Coast has to go to France first of all before they can be redirected to Ivory Coast. So you can see how very much I think this is costing us in terms of, this is costing Africans in terms of business and trade, and I don't think it's something that a lot of Africans want to. I don't think it's something that a lot of Africans really bear it all. So I think Africa has to be united. We don't speak with one voice, and I think if Africa doesn't speak with one voice, then how can they do business with each other? How can they trade with each other? And I think maybe the immediate union of Africa, favored by the likes of Muammar Gaddafi or Kwame Nkrumah, they are not, maybe it is not in the offing as of now, but I think what Africa can do then maybe is to start slowly, maybe have a coalition of the willing as America started. America started with 13 former colonies of Britain coming together, and then every state that wanted to become a part of the union then joined gradually. And I think for Africa then maybe it has to do that. Then again, we have to start with the willing. Maybe start with the communities, maybe East Africa Community, Southern Africa Development Community, SADC, or ECOWAS in West Africa, or the Central Africa Community. So I think if it starts willing members, then I think they will not be cajoled to join. So that is the way maybe African countries can be united. And I think if that happens, then Africa will very much be. I think if that happens, then Africa will be in a good state to get united, and that is how you could build an Africa that very much is at an absolute bleeding edge. And I think if Africa united, it will be a continent of 1 billion people. So that shows you it will be a market of 1 billion people. Look at Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote. He says he needs 37 visas to travel around Africa. So that shows you that complicates his investment strategy until he has opened up an office in New York to try and diversify his investment strategy. So that shows you that is money that is being lost from Africa that is going to New York, and I think it's going to the United States, and Africa badly needs this money, and I think that is how maybe that's not the way to go about it. So I think it needs to be a unity of the will, and not just a geographical span, but also a unity about the mind. Africans need to be united in the mind. We need to consume our own. Look at someone traveling to Dubai to experience the desert experience in Dubai. They could as well go to the Chalbi Desert in Kenya or go to Namibia for the same desert experience. So why doesn't a man in Africa think that by going to Dubai, then they are going to a good holiday? Why can't they go to Namibia? Why can't they go to Namibia to get the same holiday experience? And I think if that happened, then an African will be able to travel around Africa, and then they will be able to maybe that money can remain here in Africa, so that we don't need just a geographical span kind of unity. I think we need a unity that's anchored on an absolute sense of Afrocentrism, so that I will defend Africa no matter what. So that's the Africa perspective for now. Then I will move over to ideas, and in ideas, can gig working freelancing guarantee a safe middle class job? That is, can you guarantee, can gig working or freelancing guarantee a safe middle class job? So as the platform-based economy has evolved, so now you have a lot of gig working. So you have Uber drivers, you have the long-running debate whether Uber drivers should be employees or subcontractors. That's the long-running debate. Of course, HR professionals and I think American states argue that Uber drivers should be employees, but of course Uber maintains that its drivers are merely subcontractors. Basically, they are entitled only to commissions and not a salary, not allowances, maybe holiday, and so that's the long-running debate, I think, in a lot of these case studies, whether Uber drivers should be employees or subcontractors. But I think, do you think gig working, freelancing, consulting, can it subcontracting, can it guarantee a safe middle class job? So I think these are the kinds of jobs that will be there in the future. And you have a lot of parents. I think I listened to Fox News, and I think a parent was concerned that his son is turning 40 years old, but he does not have a stable, dependable job, but only does Uber drives, and I think he posited that his son does not have a stable income. So I think maybe this is not the kind of income that manufacturing provided. So you can see manufacturing provided very dependable jobs, or even farming. Agrarian revolution provided very dependable jobs, but then again, now you have these jobs provided by manufacturing. Manufacturing, I think, $1 billion company could create about 20,000 dependable middle-class jobs, and could have anyone from a grade to dropout to a high-flying doctorate holder. But I think the jobs provided by this maybe freelancing and subcontracting in these platforms, I don't think they are providing jobs that are dependable, and maybe that is why you have a lot of this. Maybe this is why you have a lot of these companies really saying that you are not an employee, you are basically a subcontractor, as Uber was saying. I think these are the kind of jobs in the future. So I think maybe you have returned to the era of the landlord and the subs. You're providing free labor to this company. They argue they give us the platforms, but what kind of platforms? I think, for instance, if someone is on Twitter or Facebook, I think they need to be paid some money for creating content. I think Twitter is taking along that direction. So Twitter, but it is only available to premium subscribers. So if you are on Twitter, I think it gives you, if you are on Twitter, I think they give you, I think they have instituted a premium subscription for those who want to post, so that if you post and then there is an ad that is put in the reply section, then you are eligible for a certain percentage of the clicks on that ad. So I think that's the vision that Elon Musk wants to take Twitter, and I think also Facebook has come up with a way to monetize. I think with Reels, I think because you have someone having 100,000 followers on Twitter, yet they are not able to make any money, or maybe 100,000 followers on Facebook, yet they are likes on Facebook, yet they are not able to make any money. So I would hope that maybe what they can do, these platforms can do, is to share a percentage of revenue, which Twitter is attempting to, and also Facebook. So I think these platforms, I think for now, the gig working and freelancing, I don't think they will generate a middle class job the way manufacturing did, and this is the way to police the internet. We are in the early days of this platform-based economy, and I think we have to find a way so that we can have these companies are sharing out their revenues. I think even Uber, if it maybe expands to Uber Eats, which is a very underrated one, I think Uber Eats could be something that could be a huge, huge product for Uber, or maybe advertising. Then this could be 1 million jobs for 1 million employees. But of course, you have they will argue even a company such as McDonald's hires hourly wage workers, or maybe a company such as Walmart also hires hourly wage workers, so maybe they will say, this is the way these economies, these companies are structured. Then finally, in heart and soul, so this is a Bible study. So the Bible study today comes from the book of Exodus. Comes from the book of Exodus. Chapter 16 verse 1 to 5, and I will read. It says, then the people left Elim. So this is about Israel complex. Then the people left Elim and came to the desert of Zin between Elim and Sinai. They arrived at that place on the 15th day of the second month after leaving Egypt. Then the whole community of Israelites began complaining again. They complained to Moses and Aaron in the desert. They said, it would have been better if the Lord had just killed us in the land of Egypt. At least there we had plenty to eat. We had all the food we needed. But now you have brought us out here into this desert to make us all die from hunger. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will cause your food to fall from the sky. This food will be for you to eat. Every day the people should go out and gather the food they need. That day I will do this to see if they will do what I will tell them. Every day the people will gather only enough food for the one day, but on Friday, when the people prepare their food, they will see that they have enough food for today. So why do we love complaining? So that's a verse taken from Exodus chapter 16 verse 1 to 5. So Israelites were complaining when Moses had no food to offer them. They were complaining, basically telling Moses, why did you bring us here? Why did you bring us here to suffer like this? And I think Moses had no answer, so they complained to God, why did you bring us here to suffer like this? Why do we love complaining? And I think God has assured us, God gives us self-assurance that indeed we should be happy where we are. And I think the message is to be contented. Contented does not mean being lazy or lacking ambition. I think there should be that fine balance between ambition and being contented. Someone that is contented knows no matter the storm, things will be fair. No matter the storm, things will be fair, and that is how to know that someone is contented. And I think if you are contented, then you know no matter the storm, I will be fair, and I think you had Jesus Christ even when he was on a boat and he was sleeping and the boat was drowning. You had the disciples call on the name of Jesus, trying to tell him, Master, the boat is sinking, we are going to die. And so you can be sure that if someone has God in them, if someone has Jesus in them, then they should be contented. And I think contented is one of the gifts that God gives us, especially there are some people who don't have much money, but they are very settled, they are very calm, they know things are going to work out. But you have billionaires that even sometimes commit suicide because they are just a worried lot. So I think one of the things that God can give us that we can have in God is contentment. So how do you have contentment so that you stop? How can you have contentment so that you stop complaining? So this has been the TV where I looked at in the Making America. How do the other Republican candidates campaign against Donald Trump in Africa perspectives? How can unity within Africa be enhanced? And then in her ideas, I looked at whether freelancing, subcontracting, consulting, gig working can create a self-dependable middle-class job and a job that you can be sure to have an upward economic, socio-economic mobility. And then finally, in heart and soul, I looked at why do we love complaining, looking at the children of Israel in Exodus chapter 16 verse 1 to 5, how the children of Israel maybe were telling God it would have been better for you to kill us instead of making us go through this hunger. So this has been Mabinda TV for now. This is home of compassionate conservatism, where we advocate for a fine balance, a sweet spot between individual creative genius excellence as afforded by capitalism and society excellence as afforded by equality of opportunity. So in essence, you are calling for capitalism with a human face, that is capitalism with a human face.